What if one absence had quietly reshaped everything we see today? Imagine a version of the story where Jimin never becomes part of BTS. No shared training days, no familiar presence in the practice room, no steady figure standing beside Jungkook as he grows up under the spotlight. When you picture that version closely, the question starts to feel heavier. Would Jungkook be as happy as he is now? Or would there be a deep, unfillable space in his heart without Jimin's presence? Jungkook entered the industry incredibly young, carrying dreams much bigger than his age. From the outside, his life looks like a straight path to success, filled with talent, recognition, and global admiration. But behind the stages and cameras, there was a boy learning how to survive an intense world while still figuring out who he was. In that environment, people don't just need teammates, they need emotional anchors. And this is where the absence of Jimin begins to feel impossible to ignore. Picture Jungkook during those early years without Jimin nearby. Long hours of practice, constant evaluations, the fear of making mistakes in front of older trainees and strict mentors. Jungkook was driven, but he was also vulnerable. Without Jimin, those quiet moments of reassurance would have disappeared. There would be no gentle teasing to ease tension, no soft encouragement when doubt crept in, no familiar energy that made everything feel a little less heavy. Jimin didn't just share a stage with Jungkook, he shared emotional space. He had a way of noticing when Jungkook pulled inward, when the pressure became too much, when confidence started to shake. And instead of stepping back, Jimin stepped closer. That kind of presence doesn't replace ambition or talent, but it makes the journey bearable. Take that away, and Jungkook's path suddenly feels colder. Now imagine BTS still moving forward, still debuting, still rising. Jungkook still shines, still works relentlessly, still gives everything to his craft. But something is missing beneath the surface. Who becomes the person Jungkook can relax around without pretending to be strong? Who challenges him emotionally, not competitively, but human to human? Because happiness, especially long-term happiness, rarely comes from success alone. Fans often notice how Jungkook's energy shifts around Jimin. His laughter becomes softer, more natural. His confidence feels calmer, less performative. Without Jimin, Jungkook might still laugh, but it could feel guarded. He might still smile, but it might not reach the same depth. These are small changes on the outside, but they grow into something much bigger on the inside. There's also the reality of growing up too fast. Jungkook didn't have a normal adolescence. He learned adulthood through pressure, responsibility, and constant scrutiny. Jimin acted as a bridge between innocence and maturity, allowing Jungkook to be playful while still learning discipline. Without that balance, Jungkook might have matured faster, harder, closing parts of himself off just to cope. Think about the moments fans never see. Exhaustion after tours, quiet nights after overwhelming schedules, doubts that come when applause fades. In those moments, emotional safety matters more than fame. Jimin offered Jungkook a place where vulnerability didn't feel like weakness. Without that, Jungkook might have carried more weight alone, telling himself he didn't need comfort, even when he did. This is where the idea of a hole in Jungkook's heart starts to make sense. It wouldn't be loud or dramatic. It would be subtle, a missing warmth, a feeling that something important was never quite there. Jungkook's emotional depth is one of the qualities fans admire most about him. That depth didn't form in isolation. It grew through relationships that allowed him to feel safely and freely. Without Jimin, Jungkook's emotional expression might have taken a different shape. He might have been quieter about his feelings, more reserved, more cautious about closeness. Not because he lacked emotion, but because he lacked a space to place it. Emotions without connection don't disappear. They accumulate. Jimin also brought contrast into Jungkook's life. Where Jungkook was intense, Jimin was gentle. Where Jungkook pushed forward, Jimin reminded him to breathe. That contrast created balance. Remove it, and Jungkook's world tilts slightly. Not enough to collapse, but enough to feel off-center. Some might argue that Jungkook would have found support elsewhere, and that's true to an extent. BTS is built on teamwork and brotherhood, but not all bonds are interchangeable. Certain connections form at specific times under specific pressures, and once those moments pass, they can't be recreated. Jimin entered Jungkook's life at exactly the moment it mattered most. As BTS grew bigger, the stakes grew higher. Expectations multiplied. The margin for mistakes shrank. Through all of that, Jungkook had someone who saw him as more than an idol. Jimin saw the person behind the image. Without that, Jungkook might have leaned harder into perfection, pushing himself further, believing that his worth came only from performance. And that kind of belief can quietly erode happiness. Success achieved without emotional grounding often feels hollow. Jungkook's joy today doesn't come only from music or fame. It comes from connection, from shared history, from knowing someone understands the version of him that existed before the world did. When fans imagine Jungkook without Jimin, they don't imagine failure. They imagine a quieter life emotionally. A Jungkook who still shines, but with a dimmer warmth. A Jungkook who still smiles, but carries more unspoken weight. The relationship between Jimin and Jungkook shaped how Jungkook learned to give and receive care. That lesson alone can change a person's entire emotional future. Without Jimin, Jungkook's happiness might not vanish, but it might feel incomplete, like a song missing a harmony you can't quite name, but you feel its absence. And as this thought lingers, it becomes harder to dismiss, because the idea isn't that Jungkook needed Jimin to succeed, it's that Jungkook needed Jimin to feel whole during a journey that demanded more than any young person should have to give. And when all of these thoughts finally come together, the picture becomes clearer. Jungkook's happiness was never built from talent alone, or success alone, or fame alone. It was shaped by the people who stood beside him while he was still becoming himself. Jimin wasn't just another member in the group. He was part of the emotional foundation that helped Jungkook grow without losing his softness, his warmth, and his ability to feel deeply. If Jimin had never been part of BTS, Jungkook's life wouldn't have fallen apart. He would still be strong, he would still be admired, he would still be talented beyond words. But happiness isn't only about standing tall. It's about feeling understood while you stand there. And Jimin gave Jungkook that understanding at a time when it mattered most. That imagined hole in Jungkook's heart wouldn't scream for attention. It would sit quietly, felt only in moments when the noise fades, in the pauses between schedules, in the silence after applause, in the spaces where connection matters more than achievement. Jimin filled those spaces, not with perfection, but with presence. And maybe that's why fans feel so strongly about this bond, because it reminds us that behind every shining moment, there is someone who made the journey lighter, someone who turned pressure into shared laughter, someone who made growing up in the spotlight feel a little less lonely. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think Jungkook would be the same person emotionally if Jimin had never been part of BTS? Do you believe happiness changes when the right person walks beside you at the right time? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if this story made you feel something, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us for more stories that go deeper than the surface.